Hi, it's Pamela. In this tutorial video, we're going to go over some of the premium templates available in Doodly.
Hey, and welcome to the official Doodly YouTube channel. If you enjoy our content, please click the like and subscribe button below. Now let's get straight to the video.
Let's start by clicking the Templates tab. And you'll see that we have all of these free templates that we went over the other day. But what about the premium templates, right? So if we click over here on Marketplace, you can get more templates. They're available for purchase. I believe they're like $27. And here they are. You'll see they are categorized as before. So you can click by category. You can choose all, or you can come up here to the search bar and enter a search. So as you're browsing, you can view each pack and click the play button for a little preview. You'll see the entire video. This particular one is 2 minutes and 21 seconds long. As you can see, there's fields here that you can fill in the blanks to customize to best meet your needs. And you'll notice that the characters are a little different in appearance than the standard Doodly characters. These are your premium characters that are available on the Doodly Marketplace. But now they're available in template form in these videos that have already been created for you. And after you've purchased the template, you can use these same characters and any assets that are included in the template with all of your future Doodly videos. They're yours to keep. They belong inside your Doodly library. Note that premium templates work with all editions of Doodly. So if you have standard, you can purchase a premium template and it'll work for you, and you'll get to keep those characters indefinitely. You'll also notice that this preview is in full color. So if you have Doodly Rainbow, you can switch between the full color option or the black and white version. It's up to you. Now, if you do not have Doodly Rainbow, you will receive the version of just black and white characters, okay? So just be aware of that. Let's look at a few more. Okay, so here's another one. It has different music, as you can hear. Like the free templates, all of the premium templates include subtitles with detailed text that you can customize to match your business needs. By default, the subtitles are turned on all of the templates, but you can turn them off if you prefer. So what's the difference between the free and the premium templates? Well, the free templates in Doodly, as you may notice, they're free. They're included with Doodly. The free ones are intended to work with your version of Doodly. So if you have the standard version, a standard free template will work with it just fine. If you have the enterprise version, one of the enterprise versions with the enterprise characters will work with your edition of Doodly just fine. Now the premium ones have these premium characters. So they have a different look to them, as you can see, and they are available in both color and black and white. The caveat is, if you have regular Doodly without the rainbow effect, then these premium templates will come across as black and white templates. Now, if you have the Doodly Rainbow add-on, then you'll get the full color version. You'll also be able to switch it to black and white if you prefer the black and white version, which a lot of people do, just by turning on and off the rainbow effect. So that is totally up to you. Now, the premium ones do tend to be a little longer. There do tend to be a few more topics available than are available with the free ones. And we're constantly adding to this library. Editing your templates, whether free or premium, the process is the same. So if you need help editing your premium template, Go ahead and check out our tutorial on the free ones because we went into greater detail on how to actually customize the templates in that one, okay? And that's the basics of working with the premium templates. Thanks for watching. Hi, it's Pamela. In this tutorial, we're going to break down scenes in Doodly.
Hey, and welcome to the official Doodly YouTube channel. If you enjoy our content, please click the like and subscribe button below. Now let's get straight to the video.
So what are scenes in Doodly? Well, there are two types of scenes that we talk about when we're talking about scenes in Doodly. Down in the timeline here, you'll notice I have a scene. And if I want to add a new scene, I just simply click the plus sign and I can add a new scene. That's pretty basic Doodly 101. However, in this tutorial, we're going to talk more specifically about scene templates. And those are pre-created scenes that Doodly has made for you. You'll find them over here in the Scenes tab. Let's take a look at them real quick. As you can see, there are scenes for living spaces, offices, schools, medical providers, coffee shops, beaches, landscapes, industrial settings, city streets, transportation, and so on. So how do we use a scene template? Well, let's go ahead and put one in this empty scene that I created a few moments ago. Let's take this one here. It's a living room scene, and it's got a character sitting there thinking about life. Now, one thing I want to point out is that you always want to put your scene template into an empty scene. Otherwise, it will ask you if you want to replace the contents of a current scene. Like so. So now I have two scenes in this video that all I had to do was drag and drop them from the Scenes panel. Let's take a look at it real quick. And you'll immediately notice that the hand draws every single item. Now, this is fine in some circumstances, and in others you may want to make some adjustments. In this case, I believe this scene runs 45 seconds, which in my opinion takes way too long to draw everything out. Of course, if you have a story that you need to tell and it makes sense to have it go on for this long, then by all means, that's fine. But just be aware that you can control this scene duration, okay? And I'll show you how in just one moment. Okay, I'm going to fast forward a bit. Oh, it's almost over. Okay, and now here's our second scene. And this is the one that we just added. And again, we're talking a good 20-30 seconds to get this scene drawn out. So I would like to show you how you can change the duration of your drawings and your scenes. So let's go ahead and close that. So what you want to do is go over here to the duration settings. You'll notice every single item has a default duration of 3 seconds. Now that means something really large and complicated, like all these walls, take 3 seconds. While something tiny, like this little umbrella, also takes 3 seconds. In my example, I don't even want them to draw everything. I'm going to have just a few things be drawn. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to turn this to 0. So the wall is already pre-drawn. And maybe this box. These things are not all that important to deserve so much focus of the video. So this background stuff, I'm going to make it all 0. Except for maybe, maybe we're doing this video about a moving company that's moving in these sofas, or a furniture store. So the furniture store people are going to deliver the sofas, okay? That's what we're going to say. Now, I've got the sofa and the sofa. This mirror is in between them. So this sofa's going to draw, then the mirror, and then this sofa. I'm going to rearrange that. I don't want to stop the movers and have all of a sudden the hand drawing a mirror, okay? I want the focus to be on these 2 images. In my fictional example here, I want these 2 to be the only things that draw, and I want them to be the very last things. So I'm just going to drag them down. And then I'm going to set the duration on these other items to 0. And now when I preview, the entire scene should be there, with the exception of the 2 sofas. And that's the case. So Annie comes and he does the drawing of the sofas. And then we're off to the next scene. Now, you're not stuck with this layout. You can move everything around if you'd like. You could delete items if you'd like. And you can add items. Let's add a character. Let's go over here and add one more scene. Once again, I'll click the Scenes tab. So we have this little lady shopping at a grocery store. And maybe that scene is exactly how we want it. So this time around, I'm not going to change all the durations. Maybe we have this long involved story about the lady buying her groceries. But what I want to do is use some of these same assets in other scenes. So I'm going to scroll over and I'm going to add another scene. And right now it's blank. But here's what you can do. Instead of trying to find this character in the characters list or find all these props, you can selectively copy and paste them into your fresh scene. So let's have a scene here with this lady all confused about what she wants to buy. So we're going to select her and this shelving here. And I guess her cart as well. Now, they're all 3 selected. I did that by pressing the Control button while I was selecting them. And then I'm going to hit Control Copy. So Control C. Or if you're on a Mac, it's Command C. So now that those are copied, I'm going to go into my blank scene. I'm going to do a paste. So Control or Command V. And here's my lady with the groceries. Now, since they're still all selected, I'm going to increase their size. Okay, now I'm going to unselect. And I'm only going to select the lady. I'm going to flip her so it looks like she's kind of looking over here, like, what should I buy? And then maybe we can add a thought bubble and we'll add some text. And that looks nice. Of course, we're going to want that scene before the one where she's at the checkout counter. So we just want to move it over so it comes beforehand. So as you saw, I just kind of dragged and dropped it over here. So now the scene will go like so. We have the lady going, oh, so many choices, followed by her successfully checking out at the checkout counter. Let's say we want to draw attention, mainly to our lady here. And we're not concerned with all this detail here being so prominent. So what you can do is you can select your items, once again, by using your Command or Control button and selecting them together. So I'm going to select a good portion of this background. All these shelves, I think we would like to just make them less prominent. I think that should be good. So I've selected the items. Now I'm going to click the gear icon and I'm going to turn the opacity down. I'm going to turn it down to 50% and see what that looks like. So you'll see that the 2 characters and their little interaction are just a little bit more emphasized than the background behind. And that's the basics of working with scenes in Doodly. Thanks for watching! Hi, Hi, it's Pamela. In this tutorial, we're going to go over some common beginner mistakes in Doodly.
Hey, and welcome to the official Doodly YouTube channel. If you enjoy our content, please click the like and subscribe button below. Now let's get straight to the video.
Doodly is user-friendly and fun to use. Many new users jump right in. That's what I did. They just start playing with it right away. While that's a great way to learn, you will probably make a few mistakes along the way. That's why I highly recommend that you watch the main tutorials so that you can learn the ins and outs of Doodly without the frustrations that sometimes occur when you try to teach yourself. I see the same beginner mistakes over and over and thought now would be a good time to go over them with you so you can either avoid them completely or get the advice you need to make your Doodlies even better. One of the first mistakes I see has to do with the built-in scene templates. So like this one right here is a built-in scene template. If you go over to scenes, you'll see it's the very first one. And oftentimes that is the very first one that people start using in their Doodly videos because it's right there, it's convenient. Hey, I'm gonna do it. The problem is everybody's using it, right? So you want to customize it a bit so it doesn't look like everybody else's video. So how would I customize this one? Well, for starters, let's change the font and let's use word wrap so that it's not one line, but rather two lines. So here's how you do it. First, we're going to double click and turn word wrap on. And then we're just going to adjust the text a little. I think 2 lines would be fine. And let's center it. And we'll move that over. Now we can make it larger. So it's more prominent. This is the main thing we want to see, not necessarily these lines, okay? Now let's change the font. So we're going to go over here to the text. I like bangers, so let's do that one. And we're going to replace the font. We may need to recenter it. And then let's change our little emphasis here. We're going to click the settings icon and we'll change the color. Let's make it gray. And see, now that already looks quite a bit different from everybody else's. We can also reposition it. You know, it doesn't have to be centered. We can make it smaller. So maybe it's a smaller element of a larger scene. And likewise, don't be afraid to enlarge your characters so that they fill the screen even more. So now I've customized that default scene template and it looks 100% different from everybody else who's just using that basic stock emphasis and text, right? So let's go to the next mistake that I see a lot. And that's drawing everything. So here I have a scene and there's a lot of elements. You know, I've got multiple clouds, I have a school, I have trees, I have a bus. And if we were to preview it, you would see the hand draws everything. And it takes quite a while to get to the main point of this slide. And maybe that main point is the bus is going to drop off the school kids. So do we really need to have everything drawn in real time? Possibly not. So I highly recommend that you don't just accept all these default drawings, okay? So I'm going to turn all this other stuff off. by typing the 3, which is 3 seconds, that it's the draw time, and turning it to 0. I'm only going to use the bus, because in my little pretend example, that's the main thing, right? And I'm going to want the bus to be the last thing drawn. So let's turn the trees off too here. So now if we were to preview this scene, it gets straight to the point and draws the bus. Now sometimes you do want it to take some time because you have a story that you're telling, and that's fine. Let's take a look at our video so far. And I want to show you between these two scenes what happens. We've got the guy, and then it goes straight to our school. So no sooner did the hand draw the guy and then the school appeared. Maybe we want to pause for a moment so we can kind of take in what we're looking at. So scene settings right here. Extra time at the end, 0.5 seconds. So many people don't know to change this. They just accept it, and it can be very jarring. So I like to go in and change it. I like 2 seconds generally. That seems to be a good time for me. So now if we were to preview it, we'll see the guy come in, he's pointing, we get a little bit of a break, and then it changes to the next scene, okay? Another common beginner mistake is using only the stock images that come in Doodly. They're great, don't get me wrong. You can make plenty of wonderful videos and only use them. So for example, instead of having this guy be our main character, maybe we can import something of our own. Use myself instead of him. And another common beginner mistake having to do with imported images is just using the default scribble effect. So let's go ahead and import an image, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Go to props and click the plus sign to upload your image. Now, if we were to preview this image, you'll see that Doodly just scribbles it on like so. And if you had a drawing like this, you wouldn't scribble it on like this. You would probably start here in the middle and draw it on like so, right? And then you do these little individual rays like so. So it really pays off to take a little time and do your drawing paths. So to do that, you're going to click this little pencil icon. And I'm just going to go ahead and click right here where I want my hand to start drawing it. And I'm going to actually follow this stroke here. Now I'm going to increase the path size a little bit here. I don't need to be super precise. And I'm just going to draw this sun. Now I'm going to do some draw paths for each of these little sunbeams. So let's go ahead and hit save and return and preview it now. Now, wouldn't you say that looks a little more realistic than the scribble effect? Now, here's another common beginner mistake that's becoming less common now that Doodly has updated the chalkboard feature. If for some reason your assets come in with the wrong color or an unexpected color, chances are Doodly inverted those colors for the chalkboard. So if that happens, and like I say, it's rare because this has been addressed, click the little gear icon and turn your invert on, or if it's on, turn it off. And you'll see the color changes. Now finally, let's add some music to our video. Let's just take this one. You can, of course, shorten its duration. What a lot of beginners don't quite understand is that you can also fade it out. So if you were to leave it as is, it would just end just abruptly. If you do this, if you right click at the end, you can choose to fade it out. And then you can stretch it out if you'd like a really slow fade or not. Another common audio mistake that beginners make is they leave the music setting at its default and that's oftentimes way too loud. If you add a voiceover, which I'll do right now, this is just a little tiny voiceover, just as an example. My voiceover will be drowned out by this really loud music. So what you want to do is you want to go over here and click on the speaker icon, and these bars, if you just click anywhere on the bar, where you want it, that will adjust the audio. I tend to turn mine way down into this 12 to 19% range, and that's a much better mix. Let's hit preview. This is just a little tiny voiceover, just as an example. And my voice is no longer being drowned out by the music. So those are some of the more common beginner mistakes and how to avoid them. Thanks for watching! Hi, it's Pamela. In this tutorial, we're going to go over how to add a voiceover file to Doodly.
Hey, and welcome to the official Doodly YouTube channel. If you enjoy our content, please click the like and subscribe button below. Now let's get straight to the video.
Now there are two ways to add a voiceover in Doodly. The first one is to use the little microphone icon down below. The other way, which is the way I'm going to go over today, is to create your voiceover externally and then import it into Doodly. Now this is very common if you hire somebody to do the voiceover for you. They'll just send you an MP3 file and then you import it into Doodly. Keep in mind that MP3 is king. So you're going to want to request your voiceover artist to send you an MP3 file. Doodly accepts these files just fine. Now you have a choice. You can upload your voiceover file first and then build the video around it, or you can build the video first and upload your voiceover after the fact. My preference is put the audio in first. It's so much easier to time the graphics to the existing audio than the other way around. So that's what I'm going to do. We're going to go over to our Sounds tab, click the blue plus sign, and navigate to your files. So here's my audio file. I did a couple paragraphs of A Tale of Two Cities. And I'm just going to simply drag it into the timeline. And you'll see here it is. It's about a minute long. And obviously I'm not going to create a 1-minute video about this Tale of Two Cities right now, but I did want to show you how it works, okay? So I'm just going to build a couple quick scenes. Now, as you're working with audio, I find it really helpful to use this little show preview tool here. And you'll see you have a little player here that it was the best of times, that corresponds with the timeline down here. So you can fast forward and listen to specific parts of the video, okay? And you can see where you are in the timeline. And I do find that's helpful. So for example, say we want this scene to end with the audio here. So I'm going to place my playhead here and I'm going to adjust the timing to match. One trick you can do is just slide it over, and that will adjust all of the different elements so that it fits here. This may or may not be what you want, but it is a quick little shortcut. And while I'm at it, I am going to turn the audio down a bit. I'm going to go down to 50%. I find that Doodly tends to boost it a little louder than I like. And again, I'm just going to cheat here. I'm going to make these scenes extra long by dragging. So you'll see it's going to take him a long time to draw this character because I stretched it out. So it's 26 seconds. Again, that's not exactly what I particularly want, but it is a little shortcut. Now right here, I have a pretty large pause. Now, what if I don't want that pause? What if I want to do a little bit of basic audio editing within Doodly? You can do that. It's a little tricky, but it is doable. So what I want to do, let's go ahead and make this scene here slightly longer to right at the end of this audio here, okay? Now, I want to move this closer. I don't want a 3-second pause in between the narrations. So what I will do is I'm going to make another track by clicking Add Track. And I'm going to add that audio once again to the second track. Okay, I need to move it over so they both, oops. So they're identical, okay? Now, what I want to do is shrink this first track so it ends here. And then I want to take the second track and I want to get rid of all this beginning part. So I'm just going to shrink it down. And then I'm going to go all the way to the beginning. So here's my gap, 2.5 seconds. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to move it closer, and I've closed the gap. So I have the beginning portion here and the ending portion here, and then no more gap. Likewise, if I had wanted a larger gap between the two, I could do that same technique, but then move this down here. Now, this is fine in a pinch if you have 1 or 2 audio edits that you want to do. It works great. But if you have a whole bunch of audio edits you want to do, then I recommend doing that externally in another program, so an audio editor of some sort. A lot of people like to use Audacity for this. But if you just have 1 or 2, this is super easy to do. It just gets clumsy the more you have. And again, I can tighten up this ending here so it ends there. And then finally, another thing that you can do is import multiple files. So for example, if I were to import once again and browse, you'll see that I have 2 more here. I've got a 1 and a 2. So I'm going to go ahead and import those. And those are basically the cuts that I made here. So if you wanted to have smaller files to work with, or if you know that you're going to have gaps between them, then you can break them up into smaller files, and then they're easy to work with. So let's go ahead and delete these. And then I'll go over to the beginning and I'll add my first one. And then I'll add my second one to this second track here. And then I can place it wherever I'd like. And you don't need a second track. If you want to keep it all on one, you can do that as well just by moving it up there. And that's the basics with working with voiceover files in Doodly. Thanks for watching. Hi, it's Pamela. In this tutorial, watch over my shoulder as I create a 1-minute video with Doodly.
Hey, and welcome to the official Doodly YouTube channel. If you enjoy our content, please click the like and subscribe button below. Now let's get straight to the video.
Over the last few weeks, we've created a series of tutorials on Doodly and its various features. Today, I thought it might be instructive to show you the process from start to finish. With that in mind, let's create a short video called Real Estate Walkthrough Tips for Sellers. We're going to pretend that I'm a real estate agent who wants to educate my clients on what they can do to ensure that the walkthrough goes great. So let's get started. We're going to click on Create New Video and we're going to give it a title. I'm going to make it a 1080p. And I'm going to choose the whiteboard style. I like that style just fine. Now, what am I going to do? Well, I started with an outline, which I have here in Word. Here's the outline I used as a basis for my script. I jotted down the key points that I want to make, which are, what is a walkthrough? What do you need to do to plan and schedule it? You want to make sure the home is clean and empty and in great condition. And you want to dispose of unwanted items and take out the trash. You want to thoroughly clean the home. A professional move-out cleaning service is highly recommended, and make repairs. So these are the key points I want to cover in my video, right? So I jotted them down just based on my knowledge. I need something a little more structured than that. So I took these key points and I wrote a very simple script because I am going to narrate it and I want to know what I'm going to say. So I used 2 columns here, one for the video. These are the items that I'm going to put for the visuals. And here is my audio. This is the narration that I'm going to use. It's very simple, right? So with that in mind, we need to go back into Doodly and get started. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste all of the different narrations that I'm going to be doing. And I'm going to do them scene by scene. So I'm going to use the subtitle feature kind of as a cheat sheet. I've talked about this before and now you can see it in action. So bear with me while I copy and paste everything, okay? Going into my first scene here, scene settings, and I'm going to copy the narration there. I'm going to add a new scene. I'm going to flip back to Word and I'm going to copy my next text. Back in I go to scene settings and paste. Start my third scene, go back to Word and get my text for that third scene. Scene settings, and I'm just copying and pasting here. Now that I have the text in there, it's very helpful for doing the voiceover because then it can be like a teleprompter for me, okay? So I like that a lot. It's also helpful, say I'm working on this over a series of days. It's just nice to have everything in the software and I don't have to worry about pages and different files and opening Word and all of that stuff. I just open Doodly and everything's there. So I find it helpful. And I'm going to want to have a little something on each screen so that I can adjust the timing just for my voiceover. This is just real basic. It doesn't have to be anything fancy at this point. This is just working stuff, okay? Since we know that my first visual is going to be, what is a walkthrough? I'm just going to add some text that says that. I'm going to pick a font. Let's use this one. And, I'm probably going to need about 5 seconds for this first scene. So what I can do is I can just stretch it here and make it about 5 seconds long. I'll go back and fine tune it, but I think this will be good enough for my voiceover purposes. And then the second scene, we're going to be talking about, time. So just for now, I'm just going to put something here. Again, this is just a placeholder. I'm not worried about anything. And I'm going to give myself another 5 seconds to talk. I'm going to go through and do this on each one. And I'm going to want at least 5 seconds at the end, so I'm going to do that. And then I'll just stretch it out a little bit just to give myself some talking space. So now if I were to preview it, I have a very rough cut of my video. You'll see I have the subtitle text, which is my cheat sheet for my teleprompter. Okay, so I'm going to follow along and read that when I'm doing my voiceover. And again, we're not worried about these little placeholder graphics here, but it's just helpful to get an idea if I'm just taking a look at, okay, how's the timing going to be? So it's just helpful to have the little placeholders there. You can do that or not, it's up to you. Okay, so now that we have our very rough cut created, we can do the voiceover. And I highly recommend doing the voiceover first because it's so much easier to time your graphics to your voiceover than to try and time your voiceover to the graphics that you built and worked so hard to get them perfectly timed. You're gonna find you're gonna talk really fast or maybe slow it down, and it's just a pain. You want to be able to talk naturally at a natural pace and not have to worry about timing it with scene transitions and graphics, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. And like I said, I'm going to do them one at a time, so one scene at a time. I'm going to start and stop, and then that way I also have a little more flexibility with positioning my audio, and you'll see here as I go. So let's go to our very first scene. What is a walkthrough? So I'm going to go down here to this timeline that has the microphone. That's for my audio narration. And I'm going to click the plus sign. Then I have this bright red microphone. That's my record button. I'm going to go ahead and push that when I'm ready to talk. And how am I going to know what to say? Well, my little subtitle cheat sheet teleprompter is going to tell me exactly what to say. So let's do it. The final walkthrough is when buyers walk through the home to make sure it is in the agreed. Okay, whoa, yeah, I need a lot more time. So yeah, I need a lot more time on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, give myself more time. I don't want to rush myself. So I'm going to do that on all of them. Again, I'm just dragging them out. And then I'm going to scroll back over. And I'm going to delete this first voiceover because obviously I don't want that. The final walkthrough is when buyers walk through the home to make sure it is in the agreed upon condition before closing the deal. And you'll notice I went ahead and stopped the recording. I like that fine. So I'm going to go to my next one. And since I know that this ends right there, you can adjust these down. So when that ends, and then also at the beginning, so you get rid of all that empty space in between. And then you can adjust your audio accordingly. I'll go through and fiddle with these in greater detail when the time comes. As the seller, allow plenty of time to delete. As the seller, allow plenty of time to ensure the home is completely empty, except for any fixtures or items that the buyer negotiated in the purchase agreement. It should also be thoroughly cleaned and in move-in condition. And that's fine. You see, I kind of ad-libbed a little because it was awkward talking in that parentheses type thing. So that's great. You can do that. I'm going to extend the scene a bit. We can help. Give us a call at 555-1212. And that's it. I just recorded the voiceover. And you'll notice by doing it in these sections, I can mess up on a section and not have to redo the entire voiceover from start to finish and have to worry about having it perfect from start to finish. I can just do it one sentence at a time if I want to. Likewise, since I did it in these sections, I don't have to edit it. I don't have to go into a third-party software tool and cut out all of my mess-ups because I did kind of like a in-video editing by doing it one at a time, deleting the bad takes and keeping the good ones. At this point, the audio is pretty much ready to go. I will probably want to clean up some of these gaps and tighten it as we go, and we can certainly do that easily enough. So let's go ahead and start building the video, okay? Let's go to the first scene. What is a walkthrough? Well, I like this text. I like the font. You'll notice the question mark is cut off. So one thing I want to do is add a space after it. And that gives the question mark a little bit of breathing room. It's not getting cut off anymore. I probably want it pretty large. So let's adjust that. And then I want something to indicate that we're talking real estate here, right? So maybe a house. Let's go back to our script real quick and see, did I specify anything? No. This is very loose, so I can just be inspired by whatever inspires me at this point. So let's start searching house. Let's try this one. So that looks kind of nice. We might want a character that represents the agent. So we're pretending it's me, so I'm going to try and find a character that might represent me. So I want somebody in a business type outfit, and I'm going to want a female since I'm female. So we could do Agatha. She has long hair like I do. And we have several poses of her in a business suit, so that might be nice. So I have 3 different poses, and that should be fine for my uses. So let's start with her like this. She's holding a computer, and she looks nice. Let's flip her over. I am going to make this house larger. I debated. And what I'm going to do, instead of worrying about, this text getting lost, I'm going to go ahead and click the gear icon, and I'm going to turn the opacity on the house down quite a bit. Let's go down to 60%. Then that way I get the whole, it's a house for sale type thing, but it's not the most prominent feature. And my words come through quite nicely. And then I have my person, and I think that's starting to look okay. I'm gonna go back to house, and I think I might choose a different one. I'm not really liking that one so much. So I'm just gonna replace it by dragging it over and saying replace. And this is a little nicer with the key, because it indicates the buyer's going to be getting the keys to the house and walking through it, right? So I think that'll be nice. Now maybe we should have some clients in here, so let's have some buyers. And let's have them be casual, because buyers oftentimes don't dress up in suits when they're buying a house, right? So let's have a young home buyer. Let's get rid of Agatha. And then you're just going to scroll until you find a character that you like that represents what you're looking for. I like Baco. We have him pointing. Let's flip him over. Now, keep in mind, the style of his drawing is a little different than the style of Agatha here. So I'm not sure that I actually want Baco after all. I'm going to save Bradley. He's going to be my handyman, because there are quite a few with him doing handyman things. So I'm not going to use him just yet. Camila might be a nice buyer. She kind of matches the style of Agatha. Although she's also cleaning, I might use her for my cleaning crew. So I'm going to keep looking. So I'm going to keep Camila and Brad in mind for my working people. All right, Domino. Let's use him for my buyer. He's the same style as Agatha, and he's in casual wear, so I think that will be great. Now, we want this scene to fit in this amount of time here, right? So this is my first voiceover, and it's about 8 seconds long. Right now, as I added all of these, it's changed the duration. And obviously, I don't want my what is a walkthrough to be 6.8 seconds long. You know, I want it to be maybe 2 seconds long. So let's go ahead and fiddle with these things. 2 seconds for my text, maybe 1 second for my keys, and then maybe 2 each for my people. And that's actually pretty close. I do want to have a little bit of time when the last one draws before the scene transition. So I'm going to go to scene settings, and I'm going to add 2 seconds to the ending. And that does change my timing a touch. I can move that. Now see how I can fiddle with these audios a little bit, and it's kind of nice. This might actually work timing wise. Let's take a quick preview of the first scene and see. Final walkthrough is when buyers walk through the home to make sure it is in the agreed upon condition before closing the deal. Okay, so looks like I got a little too aggressive on my cutting because I cut off the word "the." So this should be fine. And I really want it to start a little sooner. So let's tighten this up just a tad. Let's make these characters 1.75. You can go in and type the numbers. No, I guess 1.5 is my choice here. So now let's take a listen here. The final walkthrough is when buyers walk through the home to make sure it is in the agreed upon condition before closing the deal. And that's perfectly fine. So let's move on to our next scene. Time. Okay, let's take a peek at our script. House and purchase agreement. So we want a house and we want a purchase agreement. Okay, so we can get rid of our placeholder here. And we want to find a house yet again. Let's use this ranch house. If you want some trees in the background, you can certainly do that. Trees. Let's try just tree. There we go. And then purchase agreement. What are we going to do for a purchase agreement? Well, let's see if we have any documents. Right here, document. I think that will be just fine. And what we can do, so that's going to come in, and then we're going to put some text on here. I'm going to type in purchase agreement. And that looks fine. Now, I want to select these two at the same time. So I'm going to use my control button and select click at the same time. And now I can resize them together as well as rotate them. So, let's have this come in kind of like a rotation here. And then maybe we have a camera movement that zooms in on it. Maybe. We'll see. Before we do that, let's play with the audio, okay? So I want to, of course, move it down towards the beginning of the scene. And I see that I need a little extra time. Well, I do want that, 2 seconds or so after that final drawing. So that's going to help right away. So I'm going to type in my 2 seconds. And let's just take a quick look and see if the timing appeals to us. It might not. We won't know until we preview it. So I'm going to right click and click preview. As a seller, allow plenty of time to ensure the home is completely empty, except for any fixtures or items that the buyer negotiated in the purchase agreement. It should also be thoroughly cleaned and in move-in condition. Okay, so we're close there. Now, I don't know if my words got cut off at the beginning because it's just a preview, or was I too aggressive here on my cutting. So I'm just going to give it a little more space, and I think that'll be just fine. I liked the timing just fine, though I would kind of like the purchase agreement to come on as I say purchase agreement. So I need to shorten something here. And the tree is by far the least important part of the scene. So I'm going to turn that to 2 seconds. And then I'm going to add some time at the end here. Change that to 3 seconds. And I'm going to listen to it and see, did I get closer to the purchase agreement when my words come on, and that's coming on at the same time. So again, I'm going to preview the scene. As a seller, allow plenty of time to ensure the home is completely empty, except for any fixtures or items that the buyer negotiated in the purchase agreement. Perfect. It should also be thoroughly cleaned and in move-in condition. So that's great. We can move on to our next scene. Repairs. Okay, I'm going to stretch this out for the time being. And I'm going to move my audio down so it's a little closer. And we're going to peek at our script. And I was talking about the handyman with the toolbox. Now I would like it to be the same house and the tree, and then have our handyman and toolbox appear. So what we can do, we might even want to keep the purchase agreement. We'll see. We can go over here. Command A or Control A if you're on Windows will select all of them. Okay, so I just selected all of my items. Now I'm going to do Command C, which will be Control C if you're on Windows, to copy them. Now, if I go over here to my blank scene and go Command V or Control V to paste them, everything just pasted in beautifully. So let's do a few things here. First thing I want to do is get rid of repairs. Okay, that's trash, so I'm going to trash it. Now, since I've duplicated this scene, I don't want them to draw on again. So I'm going to go ahead and zero out the durations. And I also don't want a transition between the first incident of this and the second one. I don't want it to swipe because that would be, it would be dumb. So I'm going to go here on the first one, select scene settings, and choose exit animation none. That does affect the timing of the scene a little bit by half a second, and it's fine in this case. I think it's perfectly fine. Now, let's go get our handyman, and I said we were going to use Brad, so I'm going to type for Brad's name, and I have him here. So I could have him spackling a wall, I could have him doing all kinds of different things. He's got a toolbox somewhere. Why don't we start with him with his toolbox, because that's very obvious. No, I'm going to add to my scene. I'm not going to replace anything. So here comes Brad. Okay, he can draw on for 3 seconds. I think that'll be fine because that'll put the attention on him. But you'll see I need some additional time here. So what does it look like? 5 seconds or so. So what we want to do is go to scene settings and turn this into 5.5 or 6. Let's just go for 6 seconds. And that should be good. If you'd like to preview it, let's do it. Any repairs or improvements stipulated in the purchase agreement must be complete. Make sure everything works, and if not, fix it. And that's fine. I do think I want to keep the purchase agreement because we're still talking about it. We can go back and do a camera move and zoom in on the guy if we'd like. But again, I'm going to do that after I have all of my timings set. So our next scene is coming up here. Cleaning crew. So again, I'm going to want to duplicate that prior scene, I think, and add my Camila, the cleaning crew lady. So what I can do is right click on it and choose duplicate. And that way I don't have to do the copy and paste. That's just another way of accomplishing the same thing. In this case, I don't need to worry about the transition because I don't believe this one had a transition. Oh, I do. Okay, so exit animation. So once again, let's turn that off. Click apply because we don't want it swiping. Most everything is already zeroed out except for Bradley, so we're going to zero him out. And now we're going to go search for Camila. And she was doing some cleaning. That's with a paintbrush, but this one is more of a cleaning, and this one's pretty obvious for cleaning, as is this one, though we don't want her cleaning the grass. But this might be nice right here. And then we're going to slide this over, the audio. We can shorten this gap here, so let's go ahead and do that. And then slide it over. Timing wise, it should be pretty close. I think we probably can shave a couple seconds off. So let's turn that to 4 seconds. And that's going to be fairly close. Let's make this one slightly longer at the end. Half a second, so let's make this 6.5 because we have the room. And that's going to be just right. So let's preview it. We recommend hiring a professional cleaning crew and having a handyman on standby for any last-minute repairs. Since I duplicated it, I did duplicate the subtitles here, so if you're going to keep the subtitles, we need to get the subtitle text, so let's change that. Then if you preview it, it'll match. We recommend hiring a professional cleaning crew and having a handyman on standby for any last-minute repairs. And that looks great. Okay, I'm going to stop for now because I have to go have lunch with my mother, and I will be back. Okay, so I'm back. I left for a couple of hours and I have now returned, and I'm ready to finalize the next scene. And I remembered that I had duplicated this scene, so I can go ahead and delete this one here, okay? Because we already did that. So now I want to do remove unwanted items. Okay, so remove any unwanted items in sheds, attic, etc., and deal with the trash. So we need to think about what we want to put to represent these items. Now let's look at our Word document. And I said clean house with the words remove unwanted items on it. So let's see. What can we do? We can keep that same house if we'd like. And maybe let's get rid of the purchase agreement. Probably we can get rid of the people too. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and select everything by clicking Command A or Control A, depending on your operating system. And then Command C or Control C to copy it. We're going to go into our new scene. I'm going to get rid of this. And then Command V or Control V to paste. So now we have the identical scene. Most of them already have zeros. We're going to delete Camila and Bradley, so we can get rid of those. We can also get rid of the purchase agreement. So I've selected all of the things I want to delete, and I'm going to go ahead and delete them. So I now have my clean house. We're going to add a rectangle. So I'm going to go over to props, type in rectangle, and I really like these dashed rectangles. They come in the enterprise version, and I'm going to go ahead and place it, and I want it to pretty much fill the screen, something like that. And then we're going to add our text. We'll use the same font. Guess I could have left that text that I deleted earlier. Oh well. And that looks kind of interesting. We'll move our audio over. And we know we're going to need to make this scene a little longer. Before I do, I want to adjust this drawing of this rectangle. Right now it's set at the default of 3 seconds. That's going to be way too long. So I'm changing that to 1. And then I'm going to go ahead and shrink this up a little. Move that down here. I think I'm going to have a slight delay before this rectangle comes on. 1 second delay for the rectangle. And then it looks like we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seconds at the tail end here of our scene. And that's looking pretty good. So now we want to consider how we're transitioning from this scene here to this scene here. Let's do an erase effect where we're going to erase these items to reveal just the house below it. So what we want to do, we're back in this scene. We want to click on our items, click the gear icon, and here under exit animation, we're going to say erase. And we don't need it to erase for 3 seconds, like 1.5 seconds should be fine. And I'm going to do the same with her. Erase. 1.5 seconds. And then the same with this. Erase. 1.5 seconds. And then purchase agreement also. Erase. And it's a short little thing. He doesn't need to spend a lot of time erasing it, so we'll just say 5 seconds. I mean, 1/2 second. Now we may still need to do a little fiddling with that. And you'll see that it affected the timing here because as I'm adding all these seconds to erase, it's extended the scene. So we'll need to change the scene settings yet again. But let's see how it looks. I think I need to do something else before we do that. So let's just take a quick look. We recommend hiring a professional cleaning crew and having a handyman on standby for any last-minute repairs. Okay, so that's not quite what I want. You know, you saw it erase, and then it drew it on, then it erased them right away. So I need to do some adjustments. First, I want to make sure over here in settings that we turn off smart mode. Okay, I want the erase mode totally off. So when the hand goes to draw these people on, it doesn't erase first. And then when the time comes for them to exit the scene, I want to control that. I don't want it to just happen randomly. So let's take a look at it one more time. We recommend hiring a professional cleaning crew and having a handyman on standby for any last-minute repairs. Remove any unwanted items in shed. Okay, so I don't like how that erased them so soon. So what I want to do, and this is a little trick, take a font, any font you want, Go over here and just type in a period. Now go to the gear icon and turn the opacity to 0. I mean, it's going to make this period completely invisible, so you can no longer see it. And now I want to turn the duration to 0 because we don't want the hand coming up here and drawing an invisible period. So now what I can do is I can set a delay on this period for a good couple seconds. And what happens is now we've got a 3-second gap before the hand starts erasing everything. I am going to make the erasing go faster. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the erase animation, make it even shorter. Let's say 1 second. Do the same for her. And for the document as well. And let's take a preview. Cleaning crew and having a handyman on standby for any last-minute repairs. Remove any unwanted items in sheds. Okay, so we're getting closer. I don't think I need a 3-second delay for that, maybe 2.5. And then let's move our audio down. It gives it time for the erasing to happen. And remember, we'll probably have some music to fill this in, so while that erasing is happening, that should be fine. And then let's go to our extra time at the end. We don't need 4 seconds anymore because we've added all that time that takes to erase. So let's go back to the default of 1/2 second. And that's going to be much nicer. So now we're going to move the audio back. Now that we have the timing, let's take a look one more time and see how that kind of plays out. So I'm going to go to preview and I'm going to jump ahead. Last minute repairs. So it erases, we're back to the house. Remove any unwanted items in sheds, the attic, basement, garage, and other areas. And that is fine. I kind of think I need to erase this even faster because there's that big blank area, you know, while these are going on. So it needs to be a lot faster on erasing these items. So let me go back and make it 1/2 second. Let's just see how it looks. You just have to play with it sometimes. And then we'll move this back. Preview. And having a handyman on standby for any last-minute repairs. Remove any unwanted items in sheds, the attic, basement. I think that's better. You know, there is a little bit of a gap there, but it's okay. I'm going to move this audio down just a touch to the right. That way it gives time for this rectangle to get drawn before I start speaking. So let's take a quick preview. Remove any unwanted items in sheds, the attic, so that's much better. Now let's go to our last scene here. And that's our call to action scene. So this we'll want to just tighten up a bit. And then likewise, this can be tightened. And then we just bring it in. So I had started this, and now let's go ahead and put our phone number in here. Okay, so I've got my large phone number and my call to action, and maybe we want a logo, and we want that same original real estate agent that we had. I believe her name was Agatha. So let's go back to characters and type in Agatha, and we wanted one of her in the business suit. This looks nice and serious, so let's try that one. Okay, and I have this logo here for Jane Martin's Acme Real Estate. It's just another logo I had made for a dummy company. So I'm going to go ahead and use that. And I'm going to go ahead and change my company name here. There There we go. Sometimes you have to move things just to get it. So instead of calling it Pamela's Real Estate Agency, we're going to call it okay, I don't like her here with that. It doesn't go. So I'm going to copy her and delete her for now. I'm using the grid to help center everything. Oops. And I'm going to preview it. I'm not sure how I have the logo drawing on. I don't know if I did. Any questions about getting your home move-in ready? We can help. Okay, so I never did create drawing paths for this particular logo, and I'm not going to do that right now. What I'd rather do is click the pencil icon and right here under reveal mode, I'm going to choose fade. So it's just going to fade in real nicely. Save and return. And then I want to add some time to the end here because once I'm done talking and give the phone number, I want this to stay on for a while so people can write it down. So I'm going to go to scene settings and I'm going to give it a little bit more time. Say 10 seconds. And that looks pretty good. Let's preview it. Any questions about getting your home move-in ready? We can help. Give us a call at 555-1212. So let's give a delay here of about 4 seconds before the phone number comes in. Any questions about getting your home move-in ready? We can help. Give us a call at 555-1212. Okay, let's make that a 3-second delay. Try one more time. Preview. Any questions about getting your home move-in ready? We can help. Give us a call at 555-1212. And that looks good. I'm going to make the hand draw the phone number a little slower. This should be our final preview of this scene. Any questions about getting your home move-in ready? We can help. Give us a call at 555-1212. And that looks great. So the only thing we have left is to choose some music. So we'll go over here to the Musics tab. And here you're just going to have to start listening to tracks until you find something that strikes your fancy. I'm going to go ahead and choose music, and then that way I'm only looking at music. I don't have any sound effects to make things different, okay, to confuse me. So maybe something like this with home in the title. Maybe that's nice and homey for a real estate video. Who knows? We only know when we listen. And I'm thinking no. So go ahead and listen on your own. I'm going to go and pause the video and listen to a few of these until I find one that I like. Okay, so I've found a track that'll work just fine. It's called In the Wind. Now I'm going to go to the very beginning of the video, and you see the music track here. All I'm going to do is just drag that down and drop it into place. Now you can just see by looking at it that this music is super loud. It's going to drown out my voice big time. So what I want to do is click this speaker icon, and I'm going to turn it way, way down. I'm even going to go down probably 15%, okay? And we're going to take a listen and see how it sounds. The final walkthrough is when buyers walk through the home to make sure it is in the agreed upon condition before closing the deal. As the seller, allow plenty of time to ensure the home is completely empty, except for any fixtures or items that the buyer negotiated in the purchase agreement. It should also be thoroughly cleaned and in move-in. I feel it's still a little bit loud, so I'm going to turn it down even more. 6%. I'm going to click preview. The final walkthrough is when buyers walk through the home to make sure it is in the agreed upon condition before closing the deal. And I like that better. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tighten this up so that the music starts before my voice does, okay? So now it's coming in, and then I'll start talking. And then here at the end, you'll see that the music goes way, 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 way longer. Now, you have a choice. Sometimes the music has a nice little stinger at the end, and it's nice to end on that. So I think I would rather have it end with the actual end of the song. So I'm going to do something a little different here. I'm going to start at the beginning, and I'm just going to chop this song in half and drag it so that when I scroll over here to the end, oh wow, that was a pretty good guess. The video ends with the music, and that was a great guess, so I like that. But now we're going to have the music starting, you know, just without fading in. So what we want to do is right click and choose fade in. And then you can just have a nice slow fade in here. You know, you can do it however you want. I think this probably should be fine. Let's listen. The final walkthrough is when buyers walk through the home to make sure it is in the agreed upon condition before closing the deal. We can help. Give us a call at 555-1212. I think I maybe have it a little long on the ending. So I am going to just trim it a little bit. That was too much. So let's make it 6 seconds. And then we'll trim here at the beginning with this music. Like so. A little bit more. And that's fine. And then let's preview, we'll just jump to the final walkthrough is when buyers walk at 555-1212. There, and that's nice. I like that. And I'm just going to slide that over a little because it looks off center. So finally, I'm happy with that. I'm going to hit export. Choose 1080p for my resolution. Gonna change my destination folder to the desired one. We're in week 9, so I'll do week 9. Continue. And once this is done, we'll watch the final video. The final walkthrough is when buyers walk through the home to make sure it is in the agreed upon condition before closing the deal. As a seller, allow plenty of time to ensure the home is completely empty, except for any fixtures or items that the buyer negotiated in the purchase agreement. It should also be thoroughly cleaned and in move-in condition. Any repairs or improvements stipulated in the purchase agreement must be complete. Make sure everything works, and if not, fix it. We recommend hiring a professional cleaning crew and having a handyman on standby for any last-minute repairs. Remove any unwanted items in sheds, the attic, basement, garage, and other areas, and make sure the trash has been picked up before the walkthrough. Any questions about getting your home move-in ready? We can help. Give us a call at 555-1212. I hope you enjoyed looking over my shoulder as we created this video today. Thanks for watching. Hi, it's Pamela. In this tutorial, we're going to go over how to add photos to your whiteboard videos.
Hey, and welcome to the official Doodly YouTube channel. If you enjoy our content, please click the like and subscribe button below. Now let's get straight to the video.
One of Doodly's most powerful features is the ability to add your own assets to it, and this includes line drawings, illustrations, and photos. Photos bring some unique challenges, so I thought we should talk about them today. Using photos in your whiteboard videos can change the look and feel of it. A lot of people use the photos full screen. They create interesting videos that don't have any of the traditional Doodly elements, like the characters or the drawing hand. Others use the photos as elements within the whiteboard screen, mixing and matching alongside various characters and props. I often use photos and illustrations as part of a greeting card type video or as background elements. When I do, I oftentimes turn the opacity way down and add inspirational quotes on top. That's the beauty of Doodly. You can let your creativity shine. Doodly requires photos to be either in the JPEG or PNG file format with a max resolution of 1920 by 1080. So keep this in mind when downloading photos from sites like Pixabay. You may need to resize your existing photos as well. Adding photos to Doodly is a simple process. Go to Props, click the blue plus sign, navigate to your file, click Open, give it a name if you'd like, click Continue. I mentioned that photos present some challenges in Doodly. For starters, by default, they scribble on. If you like that effect, fine. If not, you have two choices. One, you could try and create your own drawing paths, or two, you could use the fade-in effect. Personally, I prefer the fade-in effect. It's hard to draw a photo. Now, I do have an advanced technique where you first draw an outline of the photo and then bring in the rest of it later, but it does involve converting the photo into an outline and then using multiple layers, and it's very time-consuming. When Doodly added the fade-in effect, I was so happy because it's just a mouse click or two, and it looks really nice. Here's how to do it. Click the pencil icon. Now go over here to Reveal Mode. Click the down arrow and choose Fade. Next, think about how you want the photo to appear in your scene. Do you want it full screen? Is it a background element? Will you be placing characters or objects on top of the photo? I oftentimes turn the opacity down. Of course, it depends on the scene, but doing so makes the photo become less important and it adds a nice ambiance. It's up to you, but here's how to do it. Click the gear icon. Now down here, under opacity, just change the value. Let's choose 50%. Now let's add some characters on top. When you preview it, notice how the hand erases an area first. This may or may not be what you have in mind. It looks a little bit strange with the photo, so I usually turn it off. Here's how. Go down here to Video Settings, and under Erase Mode, change it to Off. Click Apply. What if you don't want the photo to be full screen? One thing I like to do is add a frame to the photo or place the photo inside of a computer or tablet. And of course, this depends on what you're trying to accomplish with the scene. For example, in general, I find adding a frame to the photo, it kind of helps blend the realism of the photograph into the whiteboard style. This is a helpful technique when doing a tutorial video with screenshots. I hope this tutorial gives you some ideas for working with photos in Doodly. Thanks for watching! Hi, it's Pamela. Today I'm going to show you how to doodle your way into storytelling. I'll walk you through the process of telling a story in Doodly.
Hey, and welcome to the official Doodly YouTube channel. If you enjoy our content, please click the like and subscribe button below. Now let's get straight to the video.
As human beings, we love stories more than anything else. It's no surprise, as marketers, our job relies on stories. Now, what if you could create content using your words, visuals, and the power of narrative to tell an enthralling tale? With Doodly, you can create an engaging whiteboard video that does just that. Stories are the building block of any brand. A relatable narrative will build trust and loyalty. Meanwhile, whiteboard animation is a powerful tool for businesses to increase customer retention and participation. A study about whiteboard animation conducted by Dr. Richard Wiseman, who's a professor of psychology, found that whiteboard animation increases customer retention by 15%, and their participation rate increased to 66% compared to your typical talking head videos. As you can imagine, blending Doodly with storytelling is a winning combination. Now, before we get into the basics of storytelling, let's talk about length. How long should your story be? Generally speaking, a whiteboard animation video should be no more than 2 minutes long. This is because people's attention spans are super short these days. And if your video goes over that, you have a good chance of having your viewers just sign out and go find something else to do. So how long is 2 minutes in actual words? Figure about 150 words per minute. So if you're shooting for a 2-minute video, that's about 300 words at the most. Now, before we can start building our story in Doodly, we need to know what our story is. So you're gonna need to write a script. I know it can be intimidating for a lot of people. However, you know how to write a story. You just need to find the right audience and focus on their problems and not necessarily your product's features. To do this, ask yourself, who's your protagonist? Now that's a fancy word for main character. And in this case, it's probably your customer. Now, what is their motivation for what they want to achieve, or what problems are they facing? How does the character change as a result of the conflict in your story? And how did that one step affect them? So think about how your product or services changes your customers' lives for the better. In the story I'm about to create, a character is frustrated by the lack of creativity in their work. It's been leading to a lot of stress, and they've lost interest in what they do. The character is considering quitting when an old friend gives them the idea to try out Doodly, which, as you know, is whiteboard animation software that encourages creativity and makes storytelling easy. You'll see that I've used a 2-column format for my script. I've got the narration here, which I wrote first in the audio portion. So ideally, I'm going to have a narrator narrate the story. And then over here on the left, I have the visuals that I want to include. So I kind of just sketched out, okay, I want Jack at the desk. He's looking stressed out. Maybe I have the clock. And then he gets a text message that's from his boss and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that's kind of, these are kind of the scenes that I want to include in my video. So let's go over here, go over to the beginning. And I've already created some of the scenes. I'm calling it Doodly to the Rescue, okay? And here's my story. So here, let me go ahead and preview it for you. We have our customer and his problem. He's just stressed out. And he gets a text message from his boss, okay? The boss is saying, come on in, I need you to work hard. So he's just kind of like, ugh. And then here's his emotional response. He just wants to quit. He's too stressed. And he's flat out says, I've lost all interest, okay? And over here, he's on his way home from work and he bumps into an old friend who tells him, you should check out Doodly. And he does. So he goes home, he checks it out, and he says, wow, this is super cool. And he starts building his presentation for his big meeting the next day. So he's pretty excited. And then he finally gets to work and everybody loves his video. They're thrilled and he's happy once again. He's thriving in his job. And of course, we always end with a call to action. Now, this is just an example of how Doodly can be used for storytelling in a business setting. As you can imagine, this would also be useful for teachers, especially if they're teaching children with different learning abilities or have special needs that require them to think visually. Now, I'm not going to go over the details of how to put your presentation together in Doodly. We have a ton of videos on YouTube that you can watch if you need any help on that. But I did want to mention that you should probably add some music and a voiceover. Obviously, my script has a narration. If I were to actually produce this video, I would go ahead and do the voiceover and add some music to it. Now, when you're doing a voiceover, here are some things to keep in mind. You want to keep a natural tone to your voice and try not to overact. Include pauses so that viewers have time for reflection, to think about what they just watched. And if you're not comfortable doing your own voiceovers, you could also hire a narrator on Fiverr or somewhere else, or you could even use text-to-speech software like Talkia. As you're building your video, consider using colors in fun ways. For example, I was using blue for all of my voice work here. Anytime the character is thinking or talking, I just used the text and I turned it blue. I just thought that would give it a little contrast. Play around with props and see if you can use them to represent something else that may not have been portrayed in the text, such as sound or smell. So I had mentioned, maybe a clock that represents time. I did not put it in, but that's something that might be a good thing to do. Use different camera angles. For example, this character, I have a nice close-up, and that's just much more intimate for him being stressed out, having the camera really close on him. In reality, when I dragged him in, this character is actually a full-length character. That doesn't look as interesting to me, so that's why I went for the extreme close-up on him. You can also add different sound effects to bring the scenes alive. So if you go over here into sounds, under categories, you can choose music or sound effects. So, maybe we want phone ringing or a tone when that text message pops up. Maybe we want applause at the end when everybody's happy and thrilled with his video, yay, who knows? So, play around with the different sounds that you can use. I hope this video inspired you to start telling stories with Doodly. Thanks for watching! Hi, it's Pamela. In this tutorial, we're going to go over working with audio in Doodly.
Hey, and welcome to the official Doodly YouTube channel. If you enjoy our content, please click the like and subscribe button below. Now let's get straight to the video.
Doodly supports multiple audio tracks, and it can get a little confusing at times, so today I thought I would go over how we can work with them. So you'll see here, I've created a short explainer video about the benefits of cardio exercise, and it's going to need a voiceover and some background music. Down here in the timeline, you have a music track and a microphone, which is your voiceover track by default. So you've got 2 tracks to start with, and you can add additional tracks if you'd like. So let's start with the basics, the voiceover. One thing I like to do is take a few minutes before I get started and enter my narration into the subtitle field of Doodly. If you go to Scene Settings, Subtitle, here it is. You just copy and paste it in here. Like I said, I like to do it scene by scene because there's low stress. If I mess up, I just have to do a couple sentences over, and it's very easy to do that way. So what I want to do is go over to Scene Settings and give myself plenty of time. Let's say 15 seconds. This is all stuff you can adjust later. So we go over here, plus, you hit the red when you're ready, and away we go. Cardio can be a scary word for some people. It's not always easy to start an exercise routine, and it also takes time to see results. But there are many benefits to cardio that make it worth the effort. Find out why cardio should be your new best friend. That's fine. Now I can take away a few seconds. Change that to 12 seconds. And we move on to the next scene. It's a common misconception that weightlifting is the only way to get fit. Weight training has its place, but cardio exercise should be your BFF if you are looking for better health and more energy. Now I'm just going to go ahead and continue here and go on to the next scene because I can, and then I'm going to edit out this part where I'm talking to you, okay? Here are 3 reasons why cardio exercise should be part of your workout routine. 1. Cardio exercises burn calories. As you work up a sweat, oxygen is delivered to cells throughout your body, which then release fat stores into the bloodstream where they can be used as fuel for long-lasting energy. You can also add a little weightlifting if you'd like. Okay, so I did that on purpose because I want to show you how you can do some very basic audio editing inside Doodly. For starters, you have these little arrows, okay, so you can adjust your audio here. Just hover your mouse over and then clip it. And I like to just clean up the little gaps there, and that gives me something to work with because now I can move the audio within the timeline, right? Just gonna adjust this a touch more, like that 10 seconds. And then I want to find that portion that I want to cut out, and I'm going to cut it out, okay? Now how do you do that? Let's start by adding an audio track. Go over here, click the little buttons, add track. So now I have an empty one that I can use. So here's my scene 1, that's fine, I'm keeping that. This is the one I want to duplicate and edit. So right click, duplicate, and you're gonna see it down here at the end. It just adds it to the end. So now I'm gonna bump it up to my new track, and then I'm gonna slide it over and line them up so that they're the same. Now if I were to listen to this, it's going to be identical. There might be a slight reverb because they're not perfectly lined up, but that's not the point. I don't want to have that. What I want to do instead is get to the point where I want to cut out me talking to you. I like to do this in the preview, the little mini preview window over here. So if I place my playhead at the beginning and hit play, we can listen to it. It's a common misconception that weightlifting is the only way to get fit. Now I can jump ahead. Try here. Here are 3 reasons why. Okay, so here are 3 reasons. This part here is fine. I want to keep it. So this part here in the middle is probably where I'm talking that I want to get rid of. So let me go over here and let's see. Now I'm just going to go ahead and continue here and go on. Yes, so right here is the section that I want to get rid of, okay? So what I want to do is, let's slide over, and we're going to get rid of everything. Here. So now this part is the first part that I want to keep up here at the top. I don't want it to sound echoey, so I'm going to get rid of this. And then here's the part I want to delete right here. This is me talking to you guys. So all I do is get my, sometimes you have to move the playhead for some reason. There we go. You get your little double-sided arrow and just get rid of it, okay? So now I have the portion that I want to keep where I'm talking about the other content. So I'm just going to drag it over, and there we go. So now I think we want to move that down a bit for a pause, and let's listen. If you are looking for better health and more energy, here are 3 reasons. Okay, so we got rid of that little section where I was talking. I'm moving it over. I don't want quite as long of a gap. And then I'm gonna go over here and adjust my scene settings so that it ends 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 seconds. So we only want 4 seconds at the end. So now if we were to look at it, BFF, if you are looking for better health and more energy. Here are 3 reasons why cardio exercise should be part of your workout routine. And then you just keep going. I'm going to hide preview because I no longer need it. Now, of course, I can add delays and adjust my timing as I'd like here. I'm not going to do that right now. And I'm not going to do the entire video because I think you get the concept there of how to do those little mini edits. I will warn you, you don't want to do a whole lot of those little mini edits. It can get really confusing and it's time consuming to do it that way. If you have a lot of edits, it's better to do it in another program that's set up to do that. But this does in a pinch. Now next, music. So you click the music tab and then just find some music. I'm just gonna pick one and place it in the track and show you 2 things. One, how to turn the volume down. If you hit preview, you'll see cardio can be a scary word for some people. See how loud that music is? So you want to turn that down. Click on the little speaker icon and we're going to turn it way down, 6%. And let's listen now. Cardio can be a scary word for some people. It's not always easy to start an exercise. And that's much better. I've gone over this a few times, how you can clip your tracks so that they fit. And it just takes some fiddling. You just use that little double arrow and do it. And then you right click on it to initiate a fade. So fade out and then adjust your duration. But what I wanted to show you is how you can do what's called a segue. So let's use 2 music tracks in this video and kind of blend them together so that as one fades out, the new one fades in. And that's a neat trick to learn. So we want to shorten it. So let's say at about the 30-second point, we want some new music to come in. So right here, 30 seconds. So what we want to do is add one more track. So go on these little dots, add track. So now we have a new track below, and let's pick another song. Let's just choose this one. And normally you'd put them, right next to each other. So one ends and the next one begins. And then of course you do what you got to do over there. But in this case, I want them to kind of blend. I want them to segue, as it's called. So I'm going to move it over. So as this one's fading out, let's right click on this one and tell it to fade in, and we're going to make it a long fade. So now we've got this little crossfade effect. So we need to turn this one down, remember? So again, 6%, in this case 4, there we go. That should be good. So now let's take a listen. It's a common misconception that weightlifting is the only way to get fit. Weight training has its place, but cardio exercise should be your BFF if you are looking for better health and more energy. Here are 3 reasons why cardio exercise. So did you hear how that music faded out and the new one kind of faded in all together? Nice little crossfade effect. And that's how you work with audio and use multiple audio tracks in Doodly. Thanks for watching! Hi, it's Pamela. In this tutorial, we're going to create a comic strip in Doodly.
Hey, and welcome to the official Doodly YouTube channel. If you enjoy our content, please click the like and subscribe button below. Now let's get straight to the video.
Comics are a fun use case for Doodly videos. The drawing hand really lends itself to this format, and it's fun to watch as each panel is drawn. However, I really don't see too many of them, so making your own Doodly comic strip could set you apart from your competition. Perhaps it looks hard to create, but really it's not difficult at all. So today I thought I'd show you how to do it. Here's the concept that I have in mind. Let's call it The Working Dead. So The Working Dead follows the adventures of a group of office workers trying to survive during the zombie pandemic, and blah, blah, blah. So I have the script and I'm going to use it to create my comic strip. So where do we start? Well, you want to start with the panels, right? That's kind of your foundation for the drawings. So we need to do the panels first, and there's a couple ways that we can do them. In this example, I think a one-page comic strip with 3 panels should do the trick. Now, you can create the background yourself, or you could get one from a stock photo site. They have tons of comic book panels. But in this example, I would like to use simple shapes to create my own, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's go ahead and take a look at what I already created. So here is the creation that I made. I've got Adam, Andrew, and Nami. They're discussing whether they should work while there's an outbreak happening outside their building. And you'll see there's 3 panels, and then they talk, okay, we should have a meeting about this. I agree. Well, meanwhile, Nami is too busy fighting off the zombies to answer. And that's it, okay? That's my entire comic strip. These 3 panels, they're just squares and rectangles. That's all they are. So if you can work with a square or a rectangle, you can make a comic strip in Doodly. Now, I created these squares and rectangles just in a graphics design program. Super easy to do. You just pick the shape tool and you make it set so there's no fill, so it's empty and it has just a black outline. And you make your square or rectangle, and then you export it as a PNG file. And then you bring it into Doodly just like you would any other graphic. And then just place them into your scene. So I've got a new scene here. If I wanted to do that, I go to props and I'm going to search for square, okay? Because I know I have squares. And Doodly even has some already. So if you aren't comfortable making your own, you could use some that come in with Doodly. So here's an enterprise square. And that would work just as well as the one that I created, okay? And then rectangles. Again, here's a Doodly created one. And then I think some of these are mine that I brought in myself. So it just kind of depends. If you're happy with the aspect ratio of the ones provided by Doodly, then by all means use those. And then you just size them. That one looks good, and then I'll just duplicate it. Paste. And maybe I need to shrink them down together. And then see, something like that would be really nice. If I control click, I group them, and then I can resize them together. And I think probably the reason why I made my own rectangles and squares was because you'll see the line thickness is different on these Doodly created ones. So that's probably why I did it. I did it like a year ago, so I don't remember exactly. But that's how you would create the panels. And then you just simply bring in your characters. Let's find a character. Here's Adam. This is the one I had of him just being scared here. And you just place your characters into the scene. Very simple. Now, the only other thing I wanted to go over in this video was how I got let's see, let's go back. My zombie climbing through the window. Now, this is a Doodly character, so if I search for zombie, here's the one I used, and here's my cropped one. So yes, I did crop it, okay? So how did I do that? How did I crop it? It's really simple. Create a blank scene and drag in your character. And resize him so he's large, so that you get a nice clean copy. Now in this case, I know I don't want his legs, so it doesn't matter if I chop off his legs. Something like that is fine. Now you're going to need to do a screenshot, so go ahead and do that. So on a Mac, I'm going to hit Shift Command 4. On Windows, you'll just use your print screen key. It's right on your keyboard, and that'll make a quick screenshot for you. And I'm just going to do it how I want him to appear. And that's it. I needed to do a little bit more editing because it made it a screenshot as a JPEG, and I needed the PNG screenshot that has the transparency. So I have to do that in a third-party graphics editing program. So I use Pixelmator Pro, but they even have online tools that you can use that are free to remove backgrounds that'll do the trick. So I'm just going to do this real quick. I'm going to go into Pixelmator Pro with my screenshot. In this case, I'm just going to drag it down onto my icon. And here he is. So what I want to do is take my dropper tool, which you can't see because of the position. So let's move that over. There we go. So my little dropper tool, and I just click in there and it automatically selects it, and I hit delete, and that deletes the background, and that's all I need to do. So all I have to do from here is export it as a PNG. So I go to File, Export, give it a name, Zombie, and make sure it's in PNG, which it is, and click Export. And so now, if we go back to our little scene here, this is my guy, and you'll see he is transparent. So there's no square of white surrounding him, which would otherwise cover up these things. And then I just placed him strategically in the window, so it looks like he's climbing through it. And that's the basics of creating a comic strip in Doodly. Thanks for watching! Hi, it's Pamela. In this tutorial, we're going to add and animate a signature in Doodly.
Hey, and welcome to the official Doodly YouTube channel. If you enjoy our content, please click the like and subscribe button below. Now let's get straight to the video.
Have you ever wanted to add a signature to your Doodly whiteboard videos? Perhaps you need a generic signature to place on an image of a contract. Or maybe you'd like to add your own signature under your profile picture at the end of a video to make it more personalized. Whatever the case may be, adding a signature is quite easy. As you'll see here, I have my signature on a little scroll image, and it is transparent, okay? And that's going to be very important. For example, I have the same signature that I uploaded without transparency, and see the problem? It's got the white surrounding it, and that just doesn't have the same effect. Now, this would be fine in some instances if you're just placing it on a pure whiteboard, but it's not fine when you're putting it on top of something else. So what I want to recommend is that you use a tool that removes the background and then upload your image as a PNG file. Now, we've gone over this in previous videos, the difference between PNG and JPEG, and if you're not familiar with that, I recommend taking a look at that video. So what's an easy way to do it if you don't have Photoshop or Illustrator or something like that? Well, there's a program called remove.bg that will remove your background for you instantly. It's great. So I'm going to show you the process using my iPhone and a piece of paper and a pen. It's really simple. Start with a white piece of paper and a black pen. Go ahead and sign your name. Now head over to remove.bg and click Upload Image. Take photo. And now you're going to take a picture of the signature you just did. Remove.bg will upload it and automatically remove the background. Now click Download. Download once again, and then use your phone's share extension and preferred sharing method to send it over to your computer. So once you've created that signature file, all you need to do is bring it into Doodly. So it's just the same process that we always do. You go to Props, you go to the blue plus sign, you browse for your file, and you upload it. So once you have the signature file in place, you're going to want to customize the drawing paths, because otherwise it's just going to scribble on and it's not going to make a lot of sense. For example, let's just take a quick preview. And it just scribbles on. That's not the way I sign my name. I don't just scribble it on like that. Well, maybe I do kind of scribble it, but I want the ink to come out of the pen in the proper shapes, right? So let's go ahead and take care of that now. So you select your signature, click the little pencil icon, and you're now into this little customizing drawing path mode. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create my drawing paths in the exact manner that I create my signature. So I always start with the P like this, and I go down. Now, I like to zoom in a little so I can see it better, and I do like to adjust the path size. So now that I've done that, I can do some fine tuning. And now I'll do a new path. And I'm just following how I normally sign my name. If you're signing somebody else's name, say it's a fictional character, then, just do it the regular cursive way that you normally would just write in cursive, right? So just do it like that, and it'll look so much more realistic. And with the signature, it doesn't take any time at all to make this. As you can see, it's moving quite quickly. Go ahead and click Save and Return. And now let's preview it, and we'll be done. Doesn't that look much nicer than the scribble? And that's the basics of adding and animating a signature in Doodly. Thanks for watching.